sweet and merry. Oh, never will we part.
Well, you're listening to Before Midnight, and that is the Butter Tart song. And we're going to talk Butter Tarts right now because if my next guest is the biggest Butter Tart fan in Canada, I am number 2. His name is John Meissner. He's from Grimsby, and he wants to pay tribute to Mary McLeod, who invented the recipe for butter tart filling in Barrie, Ontario back in 1900. And working with the House of Commons, he would like the 19th of April to proudly be proclaimed National Butter Tart Date in Canada. I cannot think of a better idea, and John Meissner from Grimsby joins me this morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Gene. How are you?
I'm great. Great to have you on. I'm guessing you're probably like me. You discovered butter tarts when you were growing up as a kid. Your mom probably made one or gave you one. I remember when my mom made my first butter tart. I mean, that was it. I was hooked for life.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go down the road of butter tarts, I just want to say how, for someone who grew up listening to the Jesse and Gene show on Q107, what a treat this is to be talking to you.
Oh, you're so nice.
So yes, I grew up, my family actually, my great-great-great-grandfather, Matthias Fehrenbach, came to Canada in 1826. So this is the 200-year anniversary of my family coming to Canada. And we grew up on a farm just outside of Guelph, and growing up on a farm, just like, my ancestors did, we rarely ran to the grocery store. I mean, we either grew it on the farm or we got it from our neighbors, or we went to the farmer's market in St. Jacobs and we got our stuff there. We rarely went to a grocery store. So everything I grew up with was homemade and fresh and not processed and full of chemicals and fillers and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So you're right. The first butter tart I ever had, I was like, this is good. So yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about Mary McLeod's original recipe, because, there's always the debate. Raisins, no raisins, plain, pecans, currants. What was the original butter tart recipe?
Well, the original butter tart recipe, so let's just do a little history lesson here. So Mary McLeod is, according to the Simcoe County Archives, the first person to actually write down the butter tart recipe in Canada. And in her recipe, she included currants. Now, currants is actually, it's a shortened or abbreviated version of raisins of Corinth. So that's kind of where we get the name currant from.
All right.
Now, they probably were using real currants back then, but it kind of lends itself to being a raisin or a currant or something in that dried grape family. Now, whether it's plain, whether it's pecan, I don't think it really matters. Me personally, I'm a diehard raisin fan. For me, a butter tart without raisins is like a sky without stars. It's okay. It's okay, but it could be better.
Great metaphor. Now, does it have to be runny or more solid? See, I'm a runny guy.
See, now that brings us to a whole discussion, and part of the reason why I started this petition. Sure, absolutely. Some people like it a little runny. Some people like it nice and firm. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I've had butter tarts. I'm a butter tart festival judge, and I've judged a lot of butter tarts from a lot of different bakers. And a lot of these bakers that we're talking professional bakers. We're talking people who have businesses. They're selling these butter tarts to the general public. And I've had butter tarts where as soon as you break open that crust, it's like breaking a dam, and the deluge of liquid that comes pouring out of that tart shell ends up all over your clothes, all over the plate, and it's just a big sloppy mess. That's like a little too runny for my preference.
Yeah, I agree.
I grew up with butter tarts that were nice and firm. There was a little bit of moisture in them, but like they weren't completely dry, but they weren't gooey, like they weren't sloppy. Let's put it that way. I've always kind of considered that if I can walk down the street eating a butter tart with a big smile on my face and not get it all over my clothes, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so Mary McLeod, God bless her.
Yes.
She passed April 19th, 1915. You would like the House of Commons to declare the 19th of April annually National Butter Tart Date. So what are you doing to make this happen? And more specifically, how can the good listenership of CKTB help you?
All right, so there is a butter tart petition right now. So I judged a festival recently, and I got to tell this story because it kind of makes the whole thing make sense.
All right.
There was a butter tart in that festival, and there were 6 judges on the judging panel. And everybody, every one of us, as soon as we took a bite, we immediately spat it back out on the plate because it was just so. It wasn't even close to what a butter tart should be.
Yikes.
If I could compare it, it was like a deep fried pierogi.
Oh,
You know,
was that
not at all.
Was that baker jailed? I hope.
No,
Oh.
not
Should have been.
not to my knowledge, but
Okay.
but certainly we gathered up all the pieces and we just threw them in the garbage. Like nobody even wanted to eat it. It was
Right.
just so bad. But that kind of got me thinking: what has happened to our butter tarts? What has happened to the butter tarts you and I grew up with and loved so much that this is now what's being sold to the general public? And what concerns me is if you're a tourist or you're new to Canada and you come to this country and that's the very first butter tart you taste, you're going to look at the rest of us Canadians and go, what's wrong with you people?
Yep.
You know, like, this is awful. I can't believe you rave and you know, this is one of your national treasured desserts. So that took me down the road of research, finding out who Mary McLeod was. So in that research, yes, Mary McLeod, first author of a butter tart recipe, passed away, unfortunately, on April 19th, 1915. And I started this butter tart petition because I wanted to protect her legacy and honor the legacy of all the pioneering women out there who braved the elements and the wild animals and everything like that, and still managed to cook home cooked meals at the end of the day. And then to put that legacy into a national holiday where every day we come together on the 19th, we either bake butter tarts, we buy butter tarts, we sell butter tarts, but it's just that national celebration. So ourcommons.ca is the website.
Okay, what
And
is
if
it
you go
again?
to ourcommons.ca.
Okay.
So that's the House of Commons website /petitions. So ourcommons.ca/petitions, and just type in the search E7213. That'll take you to the petition website. You go down to the bottom, you sign it, or put your name in. It'll send you an email, and you just have to verify that you are an actual human being and not a robot.
Right.
But yeah, that's how you sign the petition. I also have a QR code, which is on my Instagram and Facebook page. You just scan the QR code. It takes you right to the signature page. You don't have to go through all those other steps.
Okay. How many signatures do you need? And then what happens after that?
So the minimum number of signatures for something like this is 500 signatures, and we're well past that now. But the more signatures you have, the more it's likely to be taken seriously by the House of Commons. MP Adam Chambers from Simcoe North, he is the MP from Mary McLeod's riding. He's also the MP for the Midland Butter Tart Festival, which is coming up this summer on June 13th.
It's great.
And that's like the Monte Carlo of Butter Tart festivals.
It is. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. So Adam Chambers will take the petition forward to Parliament, and there's a whole parliamentary process that happens. But if it gets approved, then it'll be on the Canadian calendar that every April 19th is National Butter Tart Day.
Way cool. I'm almost speechless. Way cool. You know, I lived and worked in the United States legally, I always say that, for about 11 years. And I introduced people to butter tarts in Texas and in Southern California. John, I literally changed lives.
That is so true. It has actually been said that butter tarts could solve world peace.
I agree. I agree.
And so this past Sunday was April 19th, and we had family and friends over. And I baked 56 butter tarts on Sunday. And after our guests took off, our family, my children and my wife, we went around the neighborhood and we handed them out to our neighbors. And it reminded me of the blackout in 2003 when everybody was outside barbecuing, talking, playing games, basketball, whatever, because all the hydro was gone, right? So I kind of look forward to this being a national holiday from coast to coast every year, where people are taking the time to maybe bake a batch of butter tarts, get to know their neighbors a little bit more, take a break from the rush of everyday life, and just enjoy this part of our Canadian culture.
Yeah, well, you've got a great neighborhood there in Grimsby. I love the fact that all the houses are painted beautiful colors. When do we think we're going to know when this passes? Because I want to stay in touch with you.
Absolutely. So June the 25th is the last day for signatures. After that, I believe Parliament is on vacation during the summer, so it'll probably be taken forward sometime maybe August or September. It has to go through a whole parliamentary process. I'm in close contact with Adam Chambers and his assistant, so I will know one way or the other how this whole thing turns out, and I will certainly keep everyone in the loop.
Okay, and we're going to help you out. I'll give out that address a couple of times. John, it's been a delight meeting you. And if you're ever in St. Catharines and you want to stop by the White House of Talk and Rock, we're open to Butter Tarts.
I will bring you a batch. That is a deal. I will do that.
All right. Thanks so much for this. Good luck. Man, I've really enjoyed this. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, sir. Have a great day.
Okay, there you go. John Meissner, he's from Grimsby, and he is going to make, along with your help, the 19th of April, National Butter Tart Day in Canada. Oh, Canada. The Butter Tart song.
Some lead an army troop, be a doctor or a lawyer or an engine driver too. But all that bold ambition's not the pathway to my heart, 'cause I'm taken by the bacon of a perfect butter tart.
A perfect butter tart.
Butter tart.
All right, the news. Then Dan McTeague, the gas wizard, on 610 CKTB, Niagara's News and Talk, and Butter Tarts.
Never will we